My brother's gonna come looking for me.
He can't save you.
All right. Well, I am Grant from Screen Rant. How you doing today, Elliot?
Grant, great. Nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you as well. I'm really excited to talk about The Thicket. I watched it earlier today and was just floored. It is such a fun movie, but also such an interesting take on the Western genre. Obviously, there's a source material from Joe R. Lansdale, so I'd love to hear what it was about the book and about Chris's script that drew you to want to get in the director's chair for this one.
Well, the book is phenomenal. It's a true road movie, much in the sort of vein of The Searchers, which is films I've sort of always been curious about. Chris Kelly's a playwright, and he did a really wonderful job interpreting that text. I changed a lot of the tenets of the book. I made Cutthroat Bill a woman, and what I found was that Joe was very open to those changes. Because look, obviously people honor the book. I wanted to honor the book, but I also am making a feature film. So he was wonderful. Yeah. So I went ahead and started shifting things around to make this version of The Thicket.
Well, I love that Joe was so collaborative with you on that front. And I actually really like that you went for a flip with Bill to be a woman. And Juliet is just incredible in this film. One of my favorite performances from her yet. And I'd love to hear about this search for finding the perfect person to play Bill for this film.
So I knew her manager and I gave her manager the script. And then a week later, I was in front of Juliette Lewis. She read it that quickly and then was like, let's get on a Zoom. And that Zoom was, I could tell from the beginning that this was the right way to go. We wanted to make a punk rock Western. I wanted to utilize all of her gifts as an actor, as a singer, as someone who's a maverick, as someone who is fearless, has no ego. And we started, with it, when you're developing a character like that, the first thing you do is find the voice, and I remember one day I'm sitting at home and all of a sudden this video comes across with Juliette Lewis doing the voice of Cutthroat Bill, and I just got chills. And it kept getting better and better and better from there on. It was a phenomenal collaboration.
That's awesome. And that voice is so, it's going to last for a while as far as in my mind, because it is one that just makes that character pop off the screen even more so. And I love Peter in this film. I love that he has sort of this dark sense of humor throughout the film, even as he's getting in the action. And he clearly has a lot of experience in this Western front. What was it like, getting him for the role, working with like with Juliet, collaborating to find this character?
It was his film from the beginning. He's had the movie for 11 years and was a producer on it. So we sort of picked each other. In terms of collaboration, as a producer, he's fantastic. He picks up the phone, he does the calls, he follows through, he'll do script notes, he has input. Probably one of the best experiences I've had with an actor. Performatively, it's Peter Dinklage. You point him in one direction, it's great, you give him a little adjustment. He embraced the role fully, and you could see he was having a good time. And he was not challenging to me at all. He allowed me to direct him in the way that we needed to. And every night we'd have a glass of wine and eat a piece of moose. That's how it was.
That's awesome. That sounds
Actually,
like a dream.
He wouldn't eat the moose. I would eat the moose. He's a vegetarian.
Well, it sounds like the dream collaborative experience. Nonetheless, I'm glad you got to have that. And I'd love to hear about filming on location for this one, because the practical sets, the shooting in the forest, it all was incredible to see on screen. But what was it like for you as a director, putting all that together and actually filming there?
It was minus 35 degrees. It was the most brutal winds. I didn't sit down the entire film. I was marveling at the crew in Calgary. They're literally like mountain goats. I think it was at times really hard on the actors because nothing can prepare you for that level of cold. They got through it. I mean, we try to make everyone as comfortable as you can, but it's undeniable. You're out there freezing. in terms of preparation, I packed a lot of woolly socks. So I drank a lot of soup.
It's the best way to prepare for a freezing cold like that.
No idea, no idea.
So I'd also love to talk about the movie's tone, because you said it a few minutes ago, punk rock Western. And that is something I've always loved about both Joe R. Lansdale and Keith Lansdale's projects, is they're sort of in that weird Western genre where they have their own unique tone of tone and settings, as far as not your traditional Western. And so I'd love to hear about, working with Chris and also your own vision of finding that specific tone to set this film apart from, traditional Westerns.
I didn't want to orientate it too closely to what you would expect. I mean, as you know, the costumes are slightly different. The feeling is quite different. An audience will forgive you if you take a form like the Western and you just shift it slightly to the right or to the left, because you understand the framework. I think my approach was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it my way. I'm an art, you see yourself as an artist, and this is how I'm going to interpret it. You saw Leslie Gray, she's got a big giant orange afro. There's one thing very specific that I wanted to point out, that no time in the film do you ever see the N-word. You never hear it. And you do that because we've heard enough of it, and I wanted it to sort of be a pure experience and never have the audience taken out by that word.
I'm really glad you made that decision. That was one I did notice, and it definitely made me happier with the film, because it's a word that so rooted in bad history that it's great when it's a historical piece, it's not heard.
It wasn't necessary.
No, absolutely not. And so I'd love to hear about also working with Guillermo to find the actual visual look of this film, because it is such a uniquely layered visual imagery of a film that I'd love to hear about finding that.
I picked Guillermo because he's a very good naturalistic cinematographer. And we made a decision to go to Calgary for one of the main reasons, because it's a heavily Western influenced part of Canada. The light there never gets above 10 or 11 o'clock, so you always have soft light. The majority of the film takes place outside, and they shot The Revenant there, and you can't, that movie's undeniable. So we're like, well, how are we going to get this? Because we didn't have a lot of time. We didn't have The Revenant's money, but we could have The Revenant's light. So that was the decision.
I like that. And so many of the natural settings look so great because of that. So kudos to you both on that. And then I'd love to also hear about casting Levon Hawke, because he does such a great job in this central role as this brother trying to find his sister and rescue her before it's too late, but also, being transformed himself by learning about the world. What was it like finding him to really play this part?
He'd only been acting 6 months. And Peter had known him his whole life. And I met with him, and there's this thing as a director that you should do, which is you have an obligation to bring new voices out, to introduce the world to new actors. And, I've done it a few times, and with David Oyelowo and Lewis Pullman and people like that. And I felt that this was kismet. I was like, this is an opportunity for us to meet Levon on his ascent. And as you know, he's coming out in Blink twice, and he's got so much stuff going on. He's a phenomenal actor and very, very humble, very easy to direct.
That's great. And so with him being such a new, fresh actor, I'd love to hear what was one of the key not guidelines, sort of what was the big inspiration that you gave him to sort of take the character and make it his own?
Well, we shaped it together. What I would do is I would basically say, make every mistake you want to make in rehearsal. And we would make every mistake, and then allow him to sort of like not be frightened of taking those mistakes, and being open to shape things. We would find the voice together, which is really, really important. That's the first thing you do. And then again, just being open, he would come over, we would work through scenes, And then he would tell me what he thought, and usually his ideas were great, and I would implement them. Just allowing the artist to express, because I don't like someone sitting on my shoulder telling me what to do, and neither do actors. You just guide them, and he was very open and willing to be guided.
Well, that sounds like the best way to, like you say, to really, rather than direct, to guide your actors. And I'm glad, because it got a great performance out of him as well as everybody else. I see I'm out of time, so I will get on out of here. But thank you, Elliott, so much for taking the time. I really can't wait to spread the word.
All right.
What if she don't want to come with us? She might have forgot.